Am I the asshole for telling my son to get over the divorce? My ex-wife, Natalie, and I had an amicable but not loving marriage. We had 2 children, Michael, 28M, and Lily, 30F. When Michael was about 10 years old, she and I saw that we no longer had romantic feelings, but a beautiful friendship. But for reasons at the time, mainly our children, we decided to continue the marriage until our children left home. Basically nothing has changed on a daily basis. We were still the same couple as always, but we didn't force something we didn't want. When Michael moved away for college and home permanently, at age 19, we decided to make the gradual move and finally make our divorce official. Michael didn't handle it well. For months he tried to convince us to try couples therapy, intervention, that it was a bad phase in the marriage and not to sign the divorce paper until we were sure. We explained together, separately, that it wasn't a bad phase and that we stayed together for the good of the family only, etc. Over time, he conformed, but hasn't accepted until today. I am currently married and so is Natalia. We have a great relationship and often spend Christmas and New Year's together with our children. What happened? Michael is engaged to Liam and we recently had dinner with him, his in-laws, fiancé and Natalie to celebrate the engagement. Michael still has a habit of making spiteful comments about the divorce and how traumatizing his parents' experience of getting divorced was. Several times, I said that this was something that hurt us to hear, because above all, my ex and I cherish that our children don't suffer from our decision. During dinner, we were talking to his in-laws and they asked how long we'd been apart and how good we had a relationship, etc. Michael at some point said, "It wasn't such a good thing for the family. It was a traumatizing experience to see your inspiration as a couple break up and your family fall apart. To say that Natalie and I were embarrassed that he said it in front of his in-laws is not necessary. I had my limit and I said, look, Mike, I understand your feelings, but it's been 9 years that your mother and I haven't been together and you didn't even live with us during this process. We are already in another moment of our lives. I think it's over time to get over it and turn the page." He was quiet and stayed that way for most of dinner, saying only what was necessary. Later, I got a text from him criticizing me, saying I should respect his feelings and he was just venting, which was a valid thing, and I shouldn't say that in front of his in-laws. Am I the asshole? English is not my first language and I'm not an expert at it. Google Translate helped. When I said that our children didn't suffer, I mean we tried everything that wasn't the worst scenario and that they didn't suffer so much. Obviously there would be damage, but that it was as little as possible. Although many say it was a lie, and that's okay. It was the best scenario for several reasons as well besides the children at the time. If your son wants to vent, he needs to go to a therapist. What your son was doing was criticizing you in front of his future in-laws. That's not right, and you were very gracious in the manner in which you corrected him. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Venting at such an event is not appropriate. He should seek the help he needs if he still can't accept the situation. You have a right to your own happiness and you've made every effort to make the situation work. Not the asshole. It wasn't appropriate dinner conversation, but he brought it up first. 9 years is a really long time to not be able to adjust to a change made when he was an adult. Have you ever explained to Michael that you and your ex were only staying together for the kids for most of his life? He can't just attack you about a decade-old divorce every time you interact with him. That's ridiculous. Am I the asshole for causing a scene when my husband's family showed up for dinner again? This evening, I made a scene in front of my husband's family while they ate dinner at our house. My husband's family came over for dinner the second time this week. They were also over last week and the week before. Typically, I am not consulted on these visits. I am just informed of them, sometimes with little or no notice at all. The visit 2 weeks ago had 30 people, this one I had lots of notice. Last week was 15. During these previous visits, I feel I was a good and welcoming host. I made food, cleaned up, made conversation, etc. This afternoon, I was exhausted and not feeling well after a really busy work week and sleep issues. My husband and I have a young daughter who also came home from daycare coughing. We've been dealing with bouts of sickness plus some really big transitions in the last few weeks. Around 3 p.m., my husband informed me that family members were coming over, 6 in total. I told him I wasn't feeling well and was upset he didn't ask me about it before confirming. I was also upset because we had only had one dinner together this week. The previous night he had been at a work dinner and was over at his dad's earlier in the week, plus we'd already had the family. He initially disregarded me and left the room, but he later apologized and reassured me that next week would be quiet and we would spend time together and I could just be upstairs tonight and not have to worry about cleaning anything up. Plus dinner was taken care of already. I had an early dinner with my daughter and put her to bed at 7, which is when his family showed up. I stayed upstairs in bed initially but went down and briefly explained I was not feeling well and our daughter was sleeping. However, there was a lot of noise with kids running around who woke up my daughter, so I went down again around 9. At this point, my husband was slurring his words drunk because when he gets together with his dad, they drink. When I realized he was slurring his words, I lost it. I asked him to stop drinking, in front of his family, because he would be grumpy and hungover the next day. I told him I was tired of it and tired of cleaning up after everyone. Honestly, I can't remember everything I said because I was raging, but I do know that I didn't swear or yell, though I was raising my voice. I told him that his behavior was unhealthy and that it was not okay. I basically had a heated argument with him in front of his family, clearly making them feel uncomfortable. But they also knew I was sick yet stayed until after 10 p.m. while the kids ran around making noise. They stayed late earlier in the week too and at that time didn't offer any help. My husband and his dad are both passed out now. The other family and kids have left. I'm embarrassed that I lost my composure, but I am also just so fed up. I feel knots in my gut and guilt for not holding it in. But I feel like I've been holding a lot in and I couldn't contain it any longer. Not the asshole your husband is an inconsiderate asshole. And not consulted? That is absolutely unacceptable. It's your house and these things need to be agreed on before being planned. But the part that really infuriates me is, if these are his dinners, gatherings, and he refuses to even include you in the planning, or even agreement to have people over, why are you cooking for and cleaning up after? Why on earth isn't he taking care of the food and cleanup? Also, getting drunk constantly at family dinners is a huge red flag to me. Probably because my father's side of the family has a lot of alcoholism, and they're the only people I know who do exactly that. Not the asshole. You can't hold this in forever. There sounds like some serious alcoholism and dysfunction going on. Seek counseling. Am I the asshole for not letting my brother's girlfriend sit with us at my wedding? So I just got married and I've been planning this wedding for almost 2 years. I wanted it to be perfect. My brother was best man, my sisters were bridesmaids, and my brother had been with his girlfriend for a while. She still hasn't warmed up to me and frankly seems like she doesn't like me, but I invited her as a guest. After the ceremony, I specifically wanted the bridesmaids, best man, and groomsmen to be seated with my husband and I, at least until the photographers were done catching candid shots. My brother went to pull up a chair for his girlfriend and I asked him not to. We needed to keep the colors matching and numbers even for the photos. His girlfriend looked offended, so I told her it'd only take a few minutes and then she could join us, but right now she just needed to stay out of the shots. My brother talked to her a little before she walked to the back tables, which she didn't have to do, she could have sat closer. My brother looked irritated, which made me slightly irritated because I didn't want him looking unhappy in the pictures, so I said he could at least pretend to look happy. I don't know why that sent him, but it did. He went off about her being shy and already feeling unwelcome in the family and I'm not making it easy for her. I told him it didn't seem like she was happy to be here anyway. She doesn't seem like she wants to be part of this family at all and frankly I didn't want her unhappy expression to be permanently displayed in pictures of what's supposed to be a happy occasion. Then he storms off and sits with her. I was pissed. This was supposed to be my day, it wasn't about her. Made the seating at the table uneven in the pictures anyway, but they still turned out okay. My brother isn't talking to me, even though I apologized and offered to apologize to his girlfriend. Some things I said out of anger but also feel like I should have been granted some respect and they should know how important it was to me since they know I'd been planning this day for so long. The rest are family and friends at the table just tell me it was awkward and don't want to pick sides. So am I the asshole? Edit. All partners were aware and perfectly fine with waiting for pictures to be done. After the more formal, candid shots were done, everyone was free to go where they wanted. Actual candid shots were going to be taken when everybody let loose and started having fun, and everyone was able to get pictures taken with friends, partners, and family. The staged candid shots were specifically to be framed and put up in our house, so I preferred only the people involved in the wedding to be in those. Everything else would be put in an album and also shared with friends and family who might want to print theirs out. My brother and his girlfriend are still in many of the pictures. For the record, I don't think she was actively trying to get in the shot or mess anything up. Edit 2. My brother and his girlfriend have been together around a year. Further info in my comment responding to this question. And for anyone confused by the staged candid photos, I understand it sounds pretentious, but it's not easy taking actual candid shots of 10 people without at least one person looking like they're in the middle of a sneeze or something. I thought it was common etiquette that only the wedding party sit at the head table? I don't recall being at a wedding where that was not the case. Not the asshole. I was originally going to say YTA, because I thought that you weren't allowing his date to sit with him for the whole meal. But just for some additional bridal party pictures? I think that's entirely appropriate. Your brother and his girlfriend were out of line, not the asshole. Not the asshole. It's common knowledge that just the wedding party sits at the main table. You offered to let her sit up there once photos were done, so it's not like you barred your brother from spending any time with his girlfriend for the whole event, and he should have considered that this is one day, one event, centered around you and your husband's wants and needs, and he could stand to take a backseat for a little bit. Am I the asshole for not letting my brother's dark past die down? I, 28M, have always been in second place to my disabled younger brother, Evan, 26M. Ever since he was a teenager, he's been suffering from severe mental health issues, and my needs were always swept aside so that my parents could take care of Evan. After Evan graduated from high school, he immediately fell into heavy drug use, and before long, he amassed a hefty rap sheet, including a weapons charge. After a few years of his nonsense, my little brother finally got his act together, and decided to enroll in community college. He eventually transferred to a 4-year college for a degree in physics. He seems to have turned his life around. Currently in his 3rd year of undergrad, he's already published 2 papers and taken part in a few important academic conferences. He aspires to do his PhD in computational physics, has been clean for years now, goes to therapy for his mental health issues, and is staying out of trouble with the law. He has many good friends and role models now, and whenever I meet him, Evan is always very polite and thoughtful, a complete 180 from when he was a deadbeat. I am significant other proud of him. But even so, I cannot let go of my lifelong resentment of him, and sometimes, when he would talk about what he wants for his future, the only response I have for him is, "Don't fuck this up." This past Christmas, my family got together for dinner, and Evan brought along his girlfriend, who he plans on proposing to. During the night, my parents still kept on heaping all the attention onto my brother, and how they're so proud of him and all that, and it reminded me of my childhood. At one point during the night, I snidely joked to Evan's girlfriend that his best trait as a parent would be pretending not to be shit-faced drunk all the time. Evan took great offense to this, and in fact he started crying and telling me that there was no point in me saying that. I ruined the night. A few days afterwards, I had tried messaging my little bro, apologizing for what I had said to him and that I don't expect forgiveness from him. He's gone no contact with me. Am I the asshole? I cannot let go of my lifelong resentment of him. You are the asshole. Go 2. Therapy. Now. You are the asshole. You should resent your parents if they neglected you. Not your brother. You are the asshole. Your brother turned his life around and you still want to shit on him. Talk to your parents, they are the one you have a real problem with. Tell them how you feel and what your youth did with you. Go. The therapies holding on to this is toxic for your health. Holy crap, you are the asshole. Sure. In my opinion, Evan's girlfriend should be informed about his past, but that's his call as to when, how to do that, not yours. Also, as a computational physicist myself for most of my career, I wish Evan great success in the field. You don't need Reddit. You need therapy.